All right, so this feels like I'm really close to the camera, and I know it's good quality, so you can probably see my skin really well. But this is my first lesson taught, and you fine scholars are probably here because you missed it in class, or didn't do the homework and needed assistance. So, welcome to my virtual classroom. Today, we're going to talk about the anatomy of a cell, and that's about it. We'll come back for other stuff later, but this is just the first part. So here goes. As you can see right here, a wonderful cell. That happens to be a eukaryotic cell. That's one of our cells. So every cell in our body is going to look something like this. Now, if you're doing this, watching this video again, because you need to get the homework done, I will try as best as I can to follow the structure of the worksheet, but if you're here, it's because you're late, so you better figure it out anyways. So, cells are the fundamental building blocks of us. And every cell in our body has at least one job. But anatomically, they're very alike. They all have this structure, and this structure, and this structure, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. You should know what they are because you've already had the first part of this class, but we will talk on these a little bit. There are different cells that do different things, like a cell for your skin, for example, protects you from the external environment. And then there are other cells that make chemicals that help you digest in your stomach so that you can break down the food that you eat. And there are also cells that designed specifically to carry electrochemical impulses that make your muscles contract. But again, they're all similar. Now, of course, the most obvious part of this cell right here that we see is going to be the nucleus. And within each human cell, the nucleus will contain 46 chromosomes. This right here is called a karyotype. This is 23 pairs of chromosomes. 23 times 2 is 46. This is how many chromosomes are in this nucleus. The smaller part is the nucleolus. So we can go ahead and label those. But this karyotype is in every single nucleus of every cell in your body. And you have trillions of them. Now, we know this one is the nucleolus. We'll talk about that later. This is the nucleus. In your instructions, it says to color the nucleus brown. I happened to do this earlier when there really wasn't a color scheme, so mine happens to be purple. Color the chromosomes blue. These little squiggly guys in here are my chromosomes. Now, they're not exactly blue, but yours should be blue on your sheet. Now, the nucleus is, in effect, the control center of the cell. Of course, the nucleus doesn't actually have an antenna, but a control center generally would. If it was mine, it would anyways. Pretty big one, because I'd want to really control things. But the nucleus is the control center for the cell. And of course, the 46 chromosomes we talked about are within the nucleus, and they store instructions for cells' activities. Now, one of the less obvious structures within this diagram are the ribosomes. You can see them in two places, both by a purplish color. Free floating in the cytoplasm, these are all ribosomes. Some of these right down here, so we label these ribosomes. These guys are on the rough ER, those are ribosomes as well. However, booklet doesn't talk about that just yet, so we'll talk about just the ribosomes. It says to color them green. I went with purple. Sorry, this was done a long time ago, and I'm not going to draw this again. Now, one of the ways that the nucleus directs the cell's activities is by sending all the instructions to the ribosomes, which the ribosomes create proteins. Now, the instructions that the ribosomes receive, they come from the chromosomes by molecules that are called messenger RNA. So instead of being just RNA, they have a little M in front of them. Messenger RNA. That's kind of a terrible M. There we go. Messenger RNA. Now, we already labeled and talked a little bit about the nucleolus, which assists in production and storage of RNA. So those little strands of RNA are created and stored right in here. Of course, on this sheet it says to color the nucleolus yellow. I went with purple. RNA molecules pink. That's kind of pink, so we're on the same page there. Mine are more red, but it says pink on your page. Now, once the proteins are made, they're transported through the cells by a system of tubes called the endoplasmic reticulum. This right here is the endoplasmic reticulum. It says to color the endoplasmic reticulum blue. Again, I went with purple. Apparently I don't have many colors in mind, but I feel like this is kind of colorful. We're just not going to cover all of it. Now, the endoplasmic reticulum delivers all sorts of proteins over here to the Golgi body, which we now know is the Golgi. Now, the function of the Golgi is to take what it brings in and coats them with a layer that allows it to leave the cell. So this right here is a vesicle that buds off the end of the Golgi, which is what I assume this sheet is talking about. However, it doesn't refer to a vesicle. So we're going to say that it coats it with the protein, and it also sorts it while it's in there. So this Golgi is like the UPS of our cell right there. It's sorting it and coating it and preparing it for the outside world. Yeah, the Golgi was supposed to be yellow. Mine was red. Something's got to be right sooner or later. Although, the next one, like guy up here, lysosome, says to color the lysosome red. I went with orange. Very close. Anyways, the lysosome contains substances called enzymes. Enzymes are meant to break down certain nutrients and have functions that are catalytic. They break down proteins, and they break them down into their building blocks called amino acids. Just as a lysosome breaks things down, as a nutrient were to enter the cell, something that we needed, it attaches to a lysosome. The amino acids that result from the breakdown are used by the ribosomes to make new proteins. Now it says, again, color your lysosome red. Mine's orange. Vacuoles, that would be this guy. Color the vacuole any color. I got it right. Mine's blue. Perfect. I finally got it right. That means I can predict the future. My vacuole's blue, and if you can see, the light is a little bright, but there is a much larger vacuole on the plant cell. Anyways, back to reality. It also looks like I've been labeling things that are kind of off the chart, which is no good. So this right here is a Golgi, and this right here, lysosome. Now the vacuoles store incoming nutrients before they're broken down by the lysosomes. In a plant, they have a bigger vacuole because it needs to store a lot more, mostly water. And finally, to assemble proteins and perform all the other functions that a cell does, the cell needs energy. Mitochondria provide that energy, the powerhouse of the cell. They produce energy in a form that the cell can use to do all of its functions. In this one, it says to color your mitochondria orange. I colored mine orange in a kind of brown color, so we'll give me credit for that one. A couple out of this whole experiment worked out. As you can see, that's the cell. Should give you enough information to complete your worksheet. Next lesson will be more polished. This one's number 1. Thank you very much.